JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 19th of June 2020, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning live session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So it'll take you to this page, which I believe you can find useful. A quick update on what's happening here globally. So as you can see, the figures have risen, and unfortunately, of course, so the situation here is still difficult. We continue to rise, already 8.5 million, and looking at the daily cases, I mean, those have eased off a little bit. However, still on the high side. Let's have a look at the markets now, how everything is reacting now. The Nikkei 225 index. Now I talked about this one a lot this week, and basically I was telling you guys the fact that we had a nice rally here on Tuesday to the upside. That was wonderful. It created this high for this week near the 22,624 zone. However, this week the index already closed, so for this week, so it closed still below this level, below this 22,624 zone. It failed to overcome it, and basically yes, it remained on one hand, it remained above all of its these upside lines. One's taken from the low of the 3rd of April, and the other one's taken from the low of the 19th of March. However, it failed to move above this high today, and well, for the past 3 days, it's kind of struggled to make a higher high. So, that's gonna keep us a little bit on our on the cautious side, because we would prefer to wait for a nice push above this barrier, above the 22,624 zone, in order to consider slightly higher levels. So that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on for next week. Jumping into one of the European indices, and that's German DAX. Yesterday closed slightly in the red. However, now it still remains above this, not this one, but this upside support line taken from the low of the 19th of March. And in a way, even if we see a bit of a decline here today, then still it can be considered as a temporary correction before another leg of buying. However, if it starts pushing above this 12,444 territory, then yes, aim for slightly higher levels, or in a way, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could keep an eye on yesterday's high, which is roughly around the 12,484 mark. And then we could consider higher levels. Until then, kind of, we're gonna probably take a bit of a careful approach here, just because, like I said, there are concerns about the second wave coronavirus now. That's why we'll be very careful on that one, and yes, we'll stay, like I said, very, very cautious, because again, we don't want to see, if it struggles, let's say, to overcome even yesterday's high, then yes, we could see a bit of a correction here to the downside. We'll aim for that correction to the downside if we get a drop below this low, the low of the 16th of June, near the 12,133 territory, roughly around here. And then, yes, we could aim for that, like I said, deeper correction to the downside towards this upside support line, taken from the low of the 19th of March. So something, guys, for you to keep in mind. Again, right now we are at a very interesting spot. The cash index is currently balancing at around 12,320 zone, slightly above where it closed yesterday. However, still not where we would like it to be. So that's why for now we'll probably be very careful here. Gold. Now gold is pushing, well, at least trying to make its way higher. Again, yesterday we had another kind of flirt here with the 21-day EMA, which got violated, but then kind of the bulls quickly pushed the commodity back above this 1723 zone. It remained above here, and today, this morning, we're seeing a nice move higher. So some might say maybe this is forming a possible bullish flag here. Again, could be. However, what we're going to focus here mainly on will be this wide range that we've got here, and this one is roughly between the 1670 and the 1748 levels. So in a way, for us to get excited about higher levels, we would like to see this one pushing above the 1748 zone, and then we could aim for higher levels. Until then, we're just going to remain neutral and continue observing this one. With the downside, is a little bit different story here. We could aim for slightly lower levels within the range if we get a drop somewhere below the midpoint of this range here, and which is roughly around the 1708 zone, and then could consider possible drift towards this 1670 zone, which, as I said, it is the lower bound of the pattern, where it could also test where the price could also maybe test the 100-day EMA, which is slowly approaching this lower bound of this range. So that's why, again, keep this in mind. But for now, the fact that gold is pointing to the upside a little bit, this kind of gives a bit of hope here for the bulls. However, to get confident with larger extensions to the upside, we would need to see a nice good break above the 1748 zone. Brent oil, quick update on that. So yes, Brent oil is trying to make its way higher. It's trying to get close to its June high, the current highest point of June, near the 43.40 mark. If by any chance it travels higher and gets closer to this area and breaks that, then yep, more buyers could be joining in, and we could potentially see this one traveling further north. But again, we're not going to drag this one too much to the upside, maybe up until here near the 45.20 zone marked by the low of the 6th of March, or this 200-day EMA. Now, although I have my arrow up until this level, that's another good potential target here near the low of the 2nd of March, at around 48.42 zone. But as I said, we're going to be very careful here. If we do get a nice push above this 43.40 zone, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and yep, more buyers could be joining in here. However, like I said, we're going to be still careful with that further upside. In terms of the downside, we need to see a drop below the 36.96 zone, and only then we could aim for, let's say, a larger correction to the downside. DXY, quick update here. I talked about this one yesterday, and basically just wanted to kind of show you where it ended the day yesterday. It kind of closed nicely in the positive territory. I've talked about this one in my Traders Espresso and Tea Time, but in the morning video we were still hanging around here near this level, near the 97.07, and what I was saying, that if it pushes higher here, and it did have a chance to push higher because it kind of was forming a possible bullish flag here. It traveled higher, but what I was saying, that we will aim initially for the 21-day EMA, which, as you can see, provided very good resistance, and this is where the kind of the price is currently stuck at. It's stuck slightly below this 21-day EMA. So in a way, we do have a possibility here to see a further push higher. However, don't forget that this move higher could be seen as a temporary correction, because we are still trading below this downside line taken from the high of the 23rd of March. Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin finally is showing a bit of kind of life, I would say. We could potentially be seeing here a rollover here where the crypto might drop to the downside, especially if it, like I said, if it stays below this 9,300 level. And this morning we already had a violation of it, but if eventually we see a nice daily candle closing below this area, then maybe we could start considering some further declines. And yep, we could maybe then aim for the 200-day EMA here, which is roughly around the 8,455 level, and that's very nice target that we're going to be aiming for. And it marks the lowest point of February. Initially, like I said, we'll take it only up until here, and then we'll see after what he wants to do. But that's only in the scenario if we get a nice daily close below this 9,300 level, because as you can see we already had a violation of it this morning, but the bulls kind of quickly pushed the price back above it. AUD/JPY. Now here the situation is a little bit on the difficult side, I would say, because on one hand we had a nice break in yesterday and we had a nice daily close below this upside line, which could, yes, of course, create this more of a bearish atmosphere. However, we would prefer to wait for a drop below the 71.92 zone, 92-93 zone. That's marked by the high the 27th of May, and then yep, we could aim for further declines. So basically for now it's a bit of a difficult one here, because it's kind of stuck near its 21-day EMA, which previously, as we saw, kind of acted as a good area of support as well, and but at the same time it remains below this upside support line, which could be seen as a bearish indication. So that's why we would prefer to wait for a drop below the 71.93-92 zone, and then yes, aim for lower levels. In terms of the upside, we would like to see this one pushing back above this upside line and making its way above the 74.47 zone, and only then aiming for higher levels. USD CAD. Now USD CAD here, this is what I talked about this week. The pair has been forming a possible bullish flag here, and this is what I was talking about earlier this week. Something for you guys to keep an eye on. And as we can see now, yes, the rate has climbed back above the 200-day EMA. Let's see if it can stay here. However, even if it could be forming a possible bullish flag here, still we would prefer to wait maybe for a push somewhere above the 1.3666 zone, and only then aim for higher levels, because again, this is a bit of a tricky one. At the moment, yes, on one hand it looks like it wants to move higher. However, we would prefer to wait for that confirmation break and then consider further acceleration to the upside. But even so, this further acceleration to the upside could still be seen as a temporary correction before another leg of selling, because we are still below this downside line taken from the high of the 31st of March. So basically a lot of things to consider here, guys. From the very short-term perspective, yes, this could pop higher. However, we'll wait for a move above the 1.3666 level and then aim for further higher levels. But let's say, like I said, don't the bulls should not get their hopes up too much if this downside line remains intact. GBP USD. Now, this morning we had already some data coming out from UK. We had the retail sales figures coming out from UK. So yep, those have shown up beating their estimates. So yep, the pound kind of maybe got a little bit of a boost. However, still the overall general outlook here is a little bit I wouldn't say worrying maybe, because looking at this picture here on GBP USD, you can see that the pair drifted lower, and yesterday this upside support line taken from the low the 20th of March kind of failed to withstand the bearishness, the bearish kind of activity, and we saw the daily candle kind of breaking and closing below this. So today, although we are seeing a bit of a correction to the upside, still the rate remains below this upside line, and it remains below this the high of the 8th of May near the 1.2467 zone. So in a way, what we're going to do here, and this is probably I'm going to stick to my idea that I've mentioned earlier this week, where I was saying that even if we get a break of this upside line, we would still prefer to wait for a drop below the 1.2365, or sorry, 1.2363 level, marked by the high of the 26th of May, and then aim for further declines. But again, we will only aim for levels somewhere around here near the 1.2077 marked by the lowest point of May. And then yep, we'll take it from there. With the upside, well, I mean, if it travels back above this upside line, yes, maybe the upside could get back into kind of the upside scenario could become the more feasible one, but still we would like to maybe see at least a move back above the 200-day EMA and then aim for higher levels. Euro GBP. So with this pair, it's a bit of a tricky one, and this week I've mentioned about this one. Basically, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this little range here where the pair is currently stuck in, and that's roughly between the 0.8864 and the 0.1993, sorry, 0.1919 level. I mean, or we could actually round it up towards the 0.1920, even better. So in other words, we need to see a nice good break through one of these highlighted areas before we could consider a further directional move. At the moment, the pair is closer to the upper bound. Yesterday we saw a violation of this upper bound again. However, the rate, kind of the daily candle, still failed to remain above it. This morning we're seeing we already saw another violation of this area. However, as you can see by yourselves, what's happening here, it seems that the bears are trying to keep this one below this. Now we'll take a neutral stand, and we'll wait for that confirmation break, and ideally we would like to see a daily close above this. If we do get a nice daily close above that barrier, then something for this could be left for for next week, something to watch out, and maybe next week we could see this one pushing a little bit higher. However, as I said, we need that daily candle staying above that area. And finally, Euro USD. So here the situation is interesting. Finally, so the bears are probably enjoying this moment right now. So we've saw the nice kind of daily candle staying below this area, below the so-called neckline of the head and shoulders, which I was mentioning from the beginning of this week in my videos. And basically now the big question here is, will this 21-day EMA provide support or not? If it fails to do so, then the next target for us will be the 1.1147 zone, because as you can see here, for example, back in around the 25th of May, this 21-day EMA did provide decent support from which the pair rebounded and kind of rallied strongly to the upside here. So that's why we'll be very careful on this one right now as well. And yes, for now we are leaning a little bit more to the downside. Initially we'll be aiming for this 21-day EMA again, but if that fails to provide support, then yes, the next target is this level here, the highlighted one, the one that I've mentioned previously, the 1.1147, marked by the high of the 27th of March. And if that fails now to withstand the bearish pressure, well, this is where it could become very interesting for even more bears. And well, we could see this one driving all the way here towards the 200-day EMA, or even this key area of support near the somewhere around the 1.10 zone. So the psychological 1.10 area could get tested, but again, for now, from the very short-term perspective today, especially, keep your eyes on the 21-day EMA and this 1.1147 level slightly below it as potential targets for today. If by any chance this somehow reverses sharply to the upside and travels back above the 1.1237 zone and ends the week above this area, now, well, I mean, maybe the bulls are not really willing to give up that steering wheel, and maybe for next week they could leave their main activity for next week. But again, for now, like I said, we are leaning a little bit more to the downside. So guys, I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, guys. I really appreciate you joining into this live session. So if you, by the way, if you ever want to kind of me to cover a specific instrument or something like that, then yes, please leave a comment after the video gets uploaded, and yep, I can pick up on that one and include it in my next video. But yep, guys, like I said, I hope you found this video useful. So thank you very much for watching and listening. Have a safe day, both health-wise and market-wise. Don't kind of overtrade, because remember, it's Friday. So have a wonderful trading day, guys, and I'll see you later on Midway Traders Tea Time, 13:15 GMT. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.